All right. After much technical difficulty, thank you, Google. We are live. All right. Welcome. This is the first edition, I guess. I forget the editions. This is your UFC 186 preview. I'll be running down the entire card from early fight pass prelims to the Fox Sports 1 prelims, and of course the main card on pay-per-view for those that are buying it. Okay. For those that are not, head to a bar. It's cheaper. And you can have a few drinks in case the fights suck. Anyway, so let's kick it right off. We're going to try and be doing these for every event possible. We'll see. We have a few ideas coming up on what to do during events. A few ideas have been thrown around, possibly a fight companion of sorts. That might be coming at some point. You never know. We just have to figure out. I think as long as we don't show the event, we should be okay. But let's kick it off here. All right. Going to go ahead and get – oh, wow. Okay. 1 second. More difficulty here. Real quick, talking about the main event here, Demetrius Johnson against Kyoji Horiguchi. Kind of surprised by how many people are picking Horiguchi to upset. Now I can't tell if it's just people trolling or if people legitimately think that he could beat Demetrius Johnson. I don't think he would win, but MMA is a sport where anything can happen. So, all right, here we go. Cool. Get this thing going and all right, kicking off the UFC Fight Pass prelims. Obviously on UFC Fight Pass at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific. We get the strawweights. Of course, you recognize them for tough, I believe tough 20. We have Aslan Daly against Brandon Marcos. Brandon Marcos ranked number 6, number 10 for Daly. Random, well, if you don't know, what we're going to try and do here is go through each fighter, give you a little bit of information that you don't know about them. Brandon Marcos is 29 years old, has a 4-3 record. Born in Iraq, and after a very long process, her father got her and her mother and younger brother out of Iraq into Canada as refugees, where they struggled in a new country without knowing the language. Now, Ronda was just a young girl when that happened, but she started with martial arts when she joined the wrestling team in high school. But she grew up as an Iraqi Christian, so wrestling with dudes was seen as improper. So she told her family that she was playing volleyball, which is it's just a way to get around that little detail. So soon after college, she began training in jiu-jitsu and now trains at Michigan Top Team, which is about 10 minutes from the U.S.-Canada border, stateside. So that is Random Marcos. Her strengths are wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and her last fight was a split decision loss to Jessica Penny, which, if I remember correctly, was disagreed about by many fans. I think it was a horseshit decision, but that might, of course, everyone has a different opinion. Aslan Daly, meanwhile, is 27, 15-5 record. And Daly's from Dublin, Ireland, trains at the SBG camp with the likes of Patrick Holohan, Cathal Pendred, and of course, the one and only, the notorious one, Conor McGregor. Daly has notable wins over Jessica Ai, who's at 135 right now, and Alex Chambers in her first legit UFC fight. Now, she started out her career with a string of TKOs, but has since stuck to her jiu-jitsu game. If I had to pick this fight, I would go with Ronda Marcos. Aslan Daly made weight, but she looked miserable on the scale. I mean, she just looked just like she did not want to be there. Somehow she made weight pretty well. I think she was 116, I believe. Ronda Marcos went in there, weighed in, faced off, ready to do business tonight in the UFC Fight Pass prelim. So that's going to kick off the entire card. That's followed by Jessica Rakoczy against Valerie Letourneau. Jessica Rakoczy is 38 years old. She's 1-4, which makes you wonder why she's on the card. She's out of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. She trains in Canada after previously living and training in Las Vegas, but she changed training camps after the show so she could be closer to her family, her kids. So at 1-4, one has to wonder why the UFC still has her on the roster, but they're giving everyone on that tough season a chance to make something happen. So I don't disagree with her being on the card at all, especially if it's the early Fight Pass prelims. Valerie Letourneau, meanwhile, is just a killer fighter. She's obviously 6-3 out of Canada. She's a striker overall. She's got a height advantage on most of the girls she fights. She's the same height, or kind of. She's the same height as Rakoczy, but her striking ability should give her the win in this one. I believe anyway. Moving on. Moving on to the last fight on the early prelims, we got Nordine Taleb against Chris Clements. Nordine Taleb is 33 years old with a 10-2 record. Born in France, but he's training out of Montreal, Canada, that TriStar gym with the likes of GSP and Rory McDonald. He's riding a 2-fight win streak. Taylor was part of that Tough Canada versus Australia show and was actually in a prelim fight to get into the Tough House with Tough Edgar versus Penn, but lost to Mike King via decision in a sudden victory round. So Taleb has fought in Bellator, and he's now in UFC. An all-around skilled fighter. Taleb has a really nice jab, and he prefers to keep it on the feet, but he tends to go for takedowns at the end of rounds to score points, as is taught as TriStar. Basically, everyone at TriStar does that to score points at the end of rounds. Try to get your decision win on that one. Chris Clements, meanwhile, is 39 years old. He's 12-5 record with 1 no contest. Born in Ontario, Canada. He trains at a Team Tompkins in Chatham, Ontario, Canada. Clements' background is Taekwondo. He's got an arsenal of spinning attacks. He likes using the spinning back fist, and he kicks a hell of a whole lot. The Taekwondo black belt brings a different style of striking, and he confuses people with the way he moves, but he's not really great at stopping takedowns, but he's good at popping back up and finding ways to land shots in the clinch, and he lands really good knees that rock his opponent. So if you saw his last fight, in the clinch, he throws really, really high knees that land right on the jaw. It's a pretty good fighter. After that, so yeah, that's going to be early Fight Pass prelims again, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific. Kicking off your Fox Sports 1 prelims, however. I kick off at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Olivier Aubin-Mercier against David Michaud, the Bulldog out of the USA. Aubin-Mercier is 26 years old with a 5-1 record, 6-1 record. Born in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. His nickname is the Quebec Kid, yet another TriStar Gym product. Aubin-Mercier is a guy that you don't really want to get into the clinch with, as he was part of the judo national team in Canada. He is a black belt in judo. His jiu-jitsu game is strong. He wins most of his fights via rear naked choke, so you don't want to give him your back at all. And I believe he fought Jake Lindsay in his last fight, and Jake Lindsay made a point to say that his game plan was to not give Mercier his back. And but anyway, he's a physically powerful guy whose punches definitely pack some heat behind him, but he prefers to take the fight to the ground. Did win his last fight via submission in an inverted triangle in the second round versus Jake Lindsay. David Michaud, meanwhile, is 26 years old with an 8-1 record. He's born in Brookings, South Dakota, and he trains in Glendale, Arizona at the MMA lab with guys like Benson Henderson and Joe Riggs. Michaud is a wrestler, plain and simple. He appeared on the Tough 16 show where he lost in the entry round via submission. Michaud last fought in Phoenix last December at UFC on Fox 13 with a decision win over Garrett Whiteley. So, again, if I had to pick this fight right here, I would go with Mercier, the judo, the jiu-jitsu. I believe that the overall strength advantage he's going to have over Michaud should be enough to give him the nod here. All right, moving on here. Chad LaPriest against Brian Barberena. Chad LaPriest is 28 years old with a 10-0 record, undefeated. Born in London, Ontario, Canada. He's trained out of he has trained out of the Adrenaline MMA Training Center before, which is the gym run by none other than Mark Hominick. Now he's training at a TriStar gym, and he's riding a 2-fight win streak, beating the aforementioned Olivier Aubin-Mercier. I'm never gonna stop saying that because it's a French thing. It's weird. So, but via split decision, and Yosendis Cedeno via unanimous decision. So LaPriest is also the winner of the Tough Canada versus Australia show, and he is a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Brian Barberena, meanwhile, is 25 years old with a 10-2 record. Born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, he now fights out of Glendale, Arizona at the MMA lab. Seems like everybody moves to Arizona or Montreal. He last fought at the UFC on Fox 13 in Phoenix, defeating Joe Ellenberger via TKO in the third round. Now, he tends to sometimes start slow, but he listens to his corners very well, and he goes off in the later rounds. So Brian Barberena has that ability to take the information he's told by his corners, process it, and actually implement the damn thing to help him in his fight. So that's gonna so that right there is another Montreal Arizona connection here. Moving on to the third female fight of the night in the Fox Sports 1 prelims. Alexis Davis, ranked number 3 against number 5 Sarah Kaufman. Alexis Davis is 30 years, 16-6 record. She's born in Port Colborne, Ontario, and she trains with the Cesar Gracie fight team with the likes of Josh Neer, Jake Shields, and of course Nick and Nate Diaz. Her last fight was, of course, a 16-second KO loss to women's UFC bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey. But before that, she was riding a five-fight win streak with wins over Shayna Baszler, Rosie Sexton, Liz Carmouche, and Jessica Ai. This is the third meeting with Sarah Kaufman. Davis came out in the losing end of the first 2 bouts with Kaufman, one by TKO and one by decision. So Kaufman, meanwhile, ranked number 5, is 29 years old with a 17-2-1 no contest record. Born in Victoria, British Columbia, she trains at Zugek Ultimate Martial Arts. Kaufman has had a weird career in the UFC with that loss to Jessica Ai being overturned due to Jessica Ai testing positive for marijuana metabolites, which again it still weirds me out that even got overturned, turned to a no contest. But she then beat Leslie Smith, who came in on late notice. Kaufman has actually already fought Ronda Rousey, but under the Strikeforce banner, which of course she lost via armbar in the first round. I think 54 seconds into the fight. Now she's not happy about fighting Davis for a third time, but I'm sure she'll take the rank improvement if she's able to best Davis in tonight's fight. And of course, the headlining the prelims here, Patrick Cote, the Predator, taking on Joe Riggs, taking on Diesel here. Patrick Cote is 35 years old with a 21-9 record. Born in Quebec City, Quebec, he trains out of BTT Canada, and it's one of the more experienced fighters in the welterweight division. His fighting career started as a boxer in the Canadian Army, but he soon took up Muay Thai, kickboxing, and wrestling, making him a well-rounded guy. Now, Cote was part of the comeback season where he beat Jorge Rivera and Edwin Duiz before losing the final fight to win the season to Travis Lutter, or Lutter, I think that's how you say it, Lutter. He last fought at UFC 178 where he lost to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson via decision. Before that, he had a 3-fight win streak with wins over Alessio Sakara, Bobby Volker, and Kalnoki. Now, he once took a late notice fight versus Tito Ortiz, and he was impressed. And he impressed UFC officials so much because he didn't get finished by Tito, even though Tito was such a dominant guy back in the day. And then he came in on very, very short notice to fight, a world beater. So Patrick Cote definitely impressed UFC officials, and he's been fighting here ever since. Of course, taking on Cote is Joe Riggs, who's 32 years old, 40-15 record. He's born in Phoenix, Arizona, and he trains out of the MMA lab. So the hometown boy never left. At age 32, who else has this much experience? 56 fights on his record. Actually 55 fights on his record. And he has a wealth of experience, but he's also taken a massive amount of damage. Riggs has fought for the UFC, the WEC, and Strikeforce. Riggs also won Bellator's Fight Master show, which, to my knowledge, has not returned because of ratings. No one watches that shit. So Riggs was supposed to fight Paulo Thiago in September 2014, but then shot himself in the hand and leg while cleaning his gun at home. So what hasn't happened to this guy? Yeah, you got to wonder. Like, I don't know. So, yeah, Joe Riggs against Patrick Cote. I would say, most signs point to Patrick Cote winning this fight. Maybe not easily, but definitely winning it. But Joe Riggs always has a puncher's chance. And training out of the MMA lab camp, you can never count out any of those guys, really. So that's going to headline your Fox Sports 1 prelims and kicking off the main card. Only on pay-per-view. Well, it shouldn't be, but only on pay-per-view. 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Unless you're on Dish, you're not going to get that shit, apparently, according to Dana White, as he tweeted out a photo saying, or an image saying that Dish is no longer going to be carrying pay-per-views, UFC pay-per-views. And according to some people, it's because their contract ended and they haven't worked on another one. So maybe Dana White putting a little bit of pressure on Dish to get I don't know, a better contract on there, or a contract done. All right, moving on to the first fight of the main card, Yves Jabouin, or Jabin. I'm just going to go with Yves against Thomas Almeida. Yves is 35 years old with a 20-9 record. In Montreal, he trains out of the TriStar gym, another TriStar product. Yves is a Haitian-Canadian fighter who was relocated to Canada as a child after fleeing war-torn Haiti. Now, his last fight was a win over Mike Easton at UFC 174, and now he's back on a Johnson headline card in Canada. Now, Thomas Almeida is 23 years old, 18-0, undefeated, born in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where he trains out of Shoot Box and Macaco Gold Team. Almeida is undefeated and at 23 years old is a very interesting prospect for the future of the bantamweight division. Now, you would think that because he's Brazilian, he would be mainly a jiu-jitsu fighter. He's actually a great striker. He's won most of his fights via TKO. He's a black belt in Muay Thai and a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. He last fought UFC Fight Night Shogun versus St. Preux, defeating Tim Gorman via decision. Now, as far as the main cards go, we're picking here. We're gonna make some picks here. I don't know. Here's the thing about the fight overall. Yves hasn't really shown a lot of consistency in his career, even though he is 20-9, very experienced and everything. But Thomas Almeida seems like the kind of guy that's about to make his name in the UFC and start moving up rankings here. So I'm going to go ahead and make my pick, and I'm going to take Almeida to win via knockout. And if we have to get super specific, I'm going to say second round. So Don Manos of CrossFitMMA.com has Eves winning. And I believe Nick has Eves as well. So I'm going to be the lone guy picking Almeida. All right, moving on here. John McDessie against Shane Campbell. John McDessie, 29 years old. He's 12-3. Born in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. McDessie is yet another TriStar product on the card. They're definitely going to be busy over there as far as their corners go. McDessie is an interesting striker. He holds a black belt in Taekwondo and Shotokan. Now, after going 22-0 in kickboxing and winning a gold medal in 2006 in the United States Kickboxing Association, he then turned to MMA. Now, little side note, and this is going to be a little bit of a deviation from the subject of this whole show. It was confirmed, actually, I believe yesterday, that Gegard Mousasi's management has filed a lawsuit against McDessie and a brand that he is listed as president of. The brand's name is Fear the Fighter. Fear the Fighter has a long list of guys who allege that they were not paid their sponsorship fees. And I believe Gegard Mousasi's management is the only one that has filed a lawsuit so far, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that. But in this day and age, I mean, look, first of all, it's not going to matter soon. You know, it matters that he hasn't gotten paid, but it's not going to matter pretty soon that with the whole sponsors thing, because Reebok is about to come in and take over this whole thing. So, but it is weird that John McDessie is in the middle of this whole thing. I did not know that he was president of Fear the Fighter. So, details aren't going to come out, of course, because of the lawsuit. After the lawsuit's over, maybe details will come out. We'll find out what's going on. But this is one of the Fear the Fighter is one of those brands that gives sponsors a bad name and has made other fighters, or has basically pushed the UFC or given the UFC a reason to go ahead and sign this deal with Reebok that basically takes away everybody else's sponsored choices or ability to be sponsored with somebody else. And as we heard, other fighters have lost a ton of money because of this whole sponsorship deal with Reebok. So yeah, it just weirds me out that John McDessie is in the middle of this whole thing, and he fights tonight. Anyway, he's going to take on Shane Campbell, who's 27 years old, 11-2, born in Canada. Campbell trains out of Toshido MMA, but he's also known as a Canadian welterweight Muay Thai fighter. He's fighting. He trains over at Iron Tiger Muay Thai in Stony Creek, Ontario. Now he's a former WKA Muay Thai champ, and he's a current WMA World Pro Muay Thai champ, I believe, in the middleweight division. Now Campbell's making his UFC debut on this card. Last fought at World Series of Fighting, where he defeated Derek Boyle via TKO, who, by the way, he fought for the second time, and I believe he defeated for the second time. Now I gotta believe that the fact that they're letting him debut on a pay-per-view card means that they're pretty confident that he's gonna come in and perform big time. So this is one of those fights where we could see something crazy happen. And so I'm gonna pick Campbell to win via TKO. Nick Pilecki's taking McDessie. Yeah, he's taking McDessie, and as is Don Mano. So once again, I'm the lone guy picking the new guy in Shane Campbell. Moving on here to what was supposed to be the co-main event until Rampage Jackson was able to actually get back on this card. Michael Bisping, ranked number 10, against number 11, CB Dollaway, the Doberman. Michael Bisping is 36 years old. He's 25-7. Born in Nicosia, Cyprus, which is a military base according to Wikipedia, but raised in Lancashire, England. Shout out to Andrew Reed, because he probably knows about that place. I don't think he lives there, but I know he knows about it. He began training in jiu-jitsu at age 8, later trained in boxing, kickboxing, and karate before turning to MMA. Now, Bisping has spent most of his career in the UFC and is one of the longest tenured fighters in the promotion, also one of the best paid ones, absolutely. So he last fought over in UFC Fight Night Rockhold versus Bisping in November of 2014, losing via guillotine choke. Now, we know what Bisping brings: good striking, pressure, and cardio. He'll be looking to put pressure on Dollaway and get him tired so he can go for a finish in the second and third rounds. Bisping, if you've ever seen anything on Bisping, the guy's very, very entertaining. He likes to talk. He's good at talking, unlike a lot of other fighters, including possibly the headliner. And his cardio and his pressure are what are his biggest weapons. So I believe he's going to end up using that. I think he's going to put too much pressure on CB Dollaway, but CB Dollaway, who's 31 years old, 16-7 record. Did I say 25-7 for Bisping? Sorry, 26-7 for Bisping. A 16-7 record for Dollaway. Born in Battle Creek, Michigan, Dollaway trains out of Gilbert, Arizona at Power MMA with the likes of Aaron Simpson and Ryan Bader. Dollaway's bread and butter is his wrestling. In fact, that's kind of all he's got. His striking's okay. It's not super great. Last fought at UFC Fight Night Machida vs. Dollaway, where he lost via TKO in the first round. By the way, if you were surprised that he got beat by TKO, I got a brand new 1977 Chevy to sell you. Although it's kind of funny that Machida got, he got styled on by Rockhold. That was something to see. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and make my pick here. Like I was saying a second ago. Okay, and Andrew Reed, go ahead. Tweet by Andrew Reed here saying that Lancashire is the northwest of England. It's a shithole. Take your word for it, man. In the States, the shithole is called Hollywood. All right. Picks here by the pick here from Nick Pilecki is going to be Michael Bisping. Agrees with me on the pressure, and from Don Manos also taking Michael Bisping. I'm taking Michael Bisping as well. Again, the pressure, the cardio, the ability to get in a guy's head. He's already in CB Dollaway's head the way Michael Bisping talks, and he's gonna just. I think the pressure's gonna be too much on CB for by Michael Bisping. Bisping's gonna take this one, be a TKO third round. My opinion anyway. All right, moving on to the co-main event, which for some reason everyone's excited about, or at least a lot of people are excited about. Rampage Jackson wins his appeal and is actually able to fight on this card against Fabio Maldonado. Now, going to particulars here, Quentin Rampage Jackson is 36 years old, a 32-10 record according to the UFC. Born in Memphis, Tennessee, he trains out of Wolf Slayer Academy, and as far as the records still show. Now, we all know what Rampage brings to the table. He's a wrestler as far as the base goes, but the guy is basically a brawler at this point in his life, in his career. He's a legend of Pride, the UFC, and had a small stint in Bellator and in TNA wrestling, which really weirded me out. I actually went out of my way to watch his little debut in pro wrestling. He just kind of stood there. He was just kind of like the big dude, the big black dude that was supposed to beat up people. But anyway, now he returns to the UFC after he claims that Bellator they didn't go through with what they promised on the contract. And if you heard the rumors of what the contract actually entailed, it's pretty freaking ridiculous, including, I believe, a movie deal, the wrestling stuff. It was a bunch of money. By the way, they did pay him a bunch of bonus money, so I'm sure they want that back. But regardless, he left. I believe the UFC lawyers more than likely, looked at the contract and said, okay, fine, we can sign you. It's gonna be okay. So. He gets to fight tonight and I guess take care of the future later on. He last fought at Bellator 120 where he picked up a decision win over King Mo, which is BS, I believe. And he takes a fight with Maldonado, who's 35 years old, 22-7 record. Born in Sorocaba, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Maldonado trains out of Team Nogueira, the Pitbull Brothers, and the Fabio Maldonado team. You have a team named after you. Well, I guess you're somebody. So Maldonado is a striker. He's a boxer. This dude knows how to throw hands. And he's got a good ground game overall, but the guy's game is to stand and throw. They should make for a good fight here. He last fought at UFC 179 where he picked up a TKO win over Hans Stringer. Now, looking at this fight here, like I said before, Rampage is supposed to be a wrestler, but he's a striker. That's kind of all he's got at this point. He's a brawler. He's gonna try and make this fight messy. He's gonna be throwing big overhands. He's gonna, he wants to get that one punch knockout. He wants to be the show, the attraction. At this point, they brought him on as a name just to get people to watch this stuff. But it's kind of hard. I mean, in fact, they've actually sold so little tickets at the Bell Center that they actually closed part of it. So I guess unfortunately, very unfortunately for the UFC, but unfortunate for Canada as a whole because they've got I mean, they kind of get screwed with the shitty cards. So, all right, the picks here. Nick Pilecki is taking Fabio Maldonado, and Dom Manos is taking Maldonado as well. I see a pattern here because I am gonna take the one and oh snap, we got somebody.
There it is.
Oh shoot, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Jesse Rubalcaba. How you doing, man?
Well, what's up? Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good, dude. It's technology. What are you gonna do?
No, you know what it is? I got it figured out. The Hangouts was updated to too recent, so I just had to go back to the old one.
Oh, there you go.
Whew.
All right,
Yeah.
well, we're on live. Let's kick back to the. Now that we got you on the show, let's kick back here onto the main card. I already went through all the prelims. Any prelims that you want to talk about?
Not pretty much. I think the exciting one that's going to be going on is the first one of the whole entire card. I think that one's probably going to be one of the better ones. Other than that, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a light card. I mean, there's a couple people might know, but that's about it.
Do you think, names make cards, or do you think the possible matchup? Because I mean, look, we're talking hardcore fans. You and I, most of the other hardcore fans recognize most of the names on this card, but a lot of the people that are going to be trying to pay, to go show up to watch the fights, the ones we call the casual fans, they're not going to recognize, just like you said, most of these names. I mean, they're not going to recognize John Makdessi. They're not going to recognize Jessica Rakoczy or Nora Taleb. Do you think that every card needs big names in order to be a success?
Depends on what you're going for. I think in this case the problem is that you have like a week before like a big boxing card, and I think if they really wanted to blow it out, I think they really needed to go big with this card, kind of just like get a little momentum going. But I mean, I don't even think it's the problem of the people that are on the card right now. I think it's the problem that they took such a hit to like losing a title fight and then a #1 contender for like what was it for the welterweight division. So right. I mean the card started off good. It's just people got bumped off, injuries and stuff like that. So I mean I don't think it's really anybody's fault here. I mean they did what they could. I mean they got Bisping in here, they got Rampage in here. I mean. It's just, I mean, for like you said, I think for us hardcores, I mean, we want to see these matchups. I mean, some of these matchups are really interesting, but it's just, I mean, it's just a bad roll of the dice at this point, Yeah,
I agree with the T.J. Dillashaw going down with a rib injury. And they just pulled Barao off instead of giving Barao a replacement opponent. They went ahead and said, nah, they're just moving on. So I forgot exactly what card they moved that one to, but they will be fighting here in the near future. I would say 189, but I don't know.
No, I think they moved them onto a Fox card. I think they're going to be the main event, and then I think it's Showtime Pettis against somebody. I think it's like Miles Jury.
Oh, that's right. I think, what do you think of that fight?
Poor Miles Jury, man. I think I think he's good, but I don't know. Just everything that I saw in that Showtime Pettis fight, it seemed like he was off, maybe, or just maybe RDA was just that good, but I mean, Miles Jury kind of has a little bit of that same style, so who knows? I mean, it might turn out good for Miles Jury, it might turn out really bad,
Yeah, I mean, I wonder because sometimes you get these guys that seem unstoppable and almost invincible, and they lose to a guy. It's like they have a big chink in their armor, and then everyone starts beating them, right?
Yeah, I mean, look at Anderson Silva. As soon as he lost, I mean, everybody was like, oh no, he's not the #1. And then he lost again, and everybody just kind of was, just bringing him down more and more. But, I mean, it's just, you have to look at their whole entire career before you start, really crapping on them. And I think Showtime, he's had a pretty good career. I mean, he beat Benson in one round. I mean, nobody does that, So it's like, you got to give him a little bit of credit.
Absolutely. All right, well, man, let's talk about this main card here, man. The first fight, Eves, and I'm not even about to say his last name, but he's taking on Thomas Almeida. Eves I believe, is the older fighter here, and Thomas Almeida is a young kid. He's 18-0, completely undefeated. He's 23 years old. Eves is 35 years old, and what I like about this fight here is that Thomas Almeida is just a Muay Thai killer. This dude is a striker. Should make for a really, really good fight. What do you think on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking Almeida here. when I make my picks, I usually just go and look at everybody's, just pretty much a blank slate, and just kind of look at everybody, how they match up and everything, and then kind of go from there. And what I noticed is that sadly, it looks like I picked pretty much all the favorites this time. Almeida, I mean, the thing with Eves is that he's the type of fighter so far that is just winning one, losing one, winning one, losing one. I mean, he's just there, kind of just winning enough to not get kicked out of the UFC, and then not winning enough to not advance anywhere. So I mean, this is the type of fight that I think is going to prove that either he's got the right game or he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, Almeida, I think he's won 17 finishes before he got into the UFC, and his last one was a decision win, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, he defeated Tim Gorman in I think it was a Shogun St. Preux card.
Yeah. I mean, for a guy that coming into the UFC was like, just basically unstoppable, and now like entering into the UFC had a little bit of a rough go. I mean, that's what we see all the time. I mean, someone having kind of like the jitters or whatever they call them, the octagon jitters or whatever. But I think this one he's going to come in and just probably really put on a show against Joban or Joboin or however you want to say it. But yeah, poor Eves. I mean, it kind of looks like they're kind of sending him out there to kind of get slaughtered here. I mean, he could surprise people. I mean, he's got KO power. He's won 11 of his fights by a knockout. But I mean, I don't know, man. Fighting the younger guy, it always seems like a bad way to go.
Yeah, and it seems like they almost send a guy like Eves out there, kind of to put the other guy over, to borrow a wrestling term, I guess. To give this guy another win and maybe an impressive finish of sorts. So and that kind of sucks, to see a guy like Eves, who's a veteran of the sport, get thrown out there like that. But I'm very excited to see Almeida, in the octagon and on a pay-per-view. But the fact that a guy is making his second fight in the UFC as the first fight on the main card is it tells you about this card. It's just pretty weak, like you were saying before. So
yeah,
so you took go ahead.
Yeah, I think I agree with you though. I think that's why they put these two matched up at the beginning of the card. I mean, they want to capture the people that kind of like are kind of on the fence, and they hear the first fight is like really exciting, had a really epic knockout, and I think that's what they're kind of hoping for here. I'm seeing Almeida winning here, like just knocking the guy out, or maybe just finishing him on the ground, like some ground and pound or something. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what they're going for. I think if you look at how the fights are kind of set up, it kind of goes in kind of like a little tier form of like leading up to the main event, like some good solid matchups, so you're not bored or there's nothing that's going to kind of bring down the card too much, so people will actually want to pay money for this.
Yeah, completely.
Are you gonna watch this at your house, or are you gonna go Buffalo Wild Wings or something?
I'm going to a bar, dude. I'm not paying $60 for this shit. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Yeah. I think that's my idea too. I mean, I'm on the fence. I mean, most of the time I like to watch them at home, be comfortable, drink or whatever. Yeah. But it's like, man, I can't really justify. Even though I really, really like DJ here, but I don't know if he gets my money just because of him,
Yeah, and we'll talk about that when we get to the main event, because that's the argument here about the card. But let's see. So you picked Almeida. I took Almeida as well. Very excited about this young cat getting into the in another fight in the UFC and maybe getting over on this one. I believe Nick Pilecki took Eves as did Don Manos. So we're kind of 2-on-2 right now. I guess we'll see what happens here tonight. All right.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, moving on here. John McDessie against Shane Campbell. Like I said, McDessie is 29 years old, a 12-3 record. He's, in my opinion, he's an interesting striker because he holds black belts in Taekwondo and Shotokan. Shotokan is a kind of like a version of karate. So he went 22-0 in kickboxing. He won a gold medal in 06 in the USKA, and then he turned to MMA. Shane Campbell, meanwhile, is a Muay Thai champ, just striking, just killer. I'm excited to see this guy too. What do you got on this fight?
Man, what do you know why it was a catchweight here? I think they weighed in at 160.
Yeah, something like that. They probably, because I mean, it happened before with a couple other guys, and the names escape me, but they actually ran into each other in their hotels and said, "Hey, man, what are you weighing in?" and they talked about the weight. They went to the commission. They asked the commission if they could do it, and they allowed them to do it. But it might be something like that here too. Like maybe one of them was having a rough go, and the other one was like, "Well, I don't really feel like cutting weight either." So I think it's happened before where the fighters agree to stop cutting weight and just come in at a catch.
Right. Yeah. I would want to know who's the one that was having trouble making the weight, because honestly, if you look at both of their records, I mean, they're both really, really well trained, well rounded.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them have power to stop the fight. They both can go for submissions. McDessie, though, I mean, to me, he's the smarter fighter here. He was trained or is trained by Firas Zahabi, right? So he's from that training camp. So I mean, in terms of the person that's going to come in with a better game plan, I think it's McDessie. But Campbell, like you said, I mean, he's got 3 first-round finishes on his record. Right now, he's riding a 3-fight win streak. So I mean, again, another exciting fight. I think both of these guys are probably going to stand and trade for a little bit. McDessie's probably going to be the one to really implement maybe like a ground game and stuff. And I don't think Campbell's going to be too bad on the ground. So I think this could be one of those. Going to decision, going to 3 rounds, that's gonna really deliver. But all that said, I think I have to go with McDessie here. He just seems like he might have the better all-around package of having the right coaches around him, having the right training camp, having the right just everything put together. I mean, he's got a little bit more fights under his belt too. So I mean that also might be the deciding factor here.
Yeah, experience is very, very valuable in the case, especially when it's a guy that's been training, all types of arts for a while, and then a guy that's primarily a striker like is Campbell. So, and I do agree, the guys out of that TriStar gym, for us, a hobby is easily you can make a case that he's top 3 coach in the world. So, he makes game plans for all of his guys, and they're always game plans to win. I always find it weird that every game plan that he has is like, go for a takedown at the end of the round, try to steal it, or maybe, kind of show the judges that you dominated. But that's just, I guess that's a discussion for another day. But in my opinion, I think I'm just picking the guys that I hope bring the exciting fights. Because I'm taking Campbell here. I'm hoping that he's gonna come in and catch McDessie with any kind of just crazy strike. Again, those Muay Thai guys are fun to watch. So. I believe Nick Pilecki took McDessie, as did Don Mano. So we're 3-1 right now, because I think he took McDessie as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, looking at this just straight up, just looking at their records, looking at what they come to the table with. I mean, it's one of those fights where it's whoever gets off first. You know how they always say, like, whoever is the first one to strike, whoever gets comfortable in there first. I mean. And like you said, Campbell being a Muay Thai guy, I mean, that could be the difference in how comfortable he is striking with people, and just not being afraid to really throw for the fences. So I mean, either way, I mean, I think it'll come down to just inches on the striking department, but it's just one of those things.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Real quick, I don't know if you heard about this. It was confirmed, I believe, yesterday or maybe the day before. Gegard Mousasi's management has filed a lawsuit against John McDessie and the brand that he is president of. The brand's name is Fear the Fighter. And Fear the Fighter actually has a long list of fighters who allege that they were not paid their sponsorship fee. So Gegard Mousasi's management filed a lawsuit to get some of that money. Did you know? I had no idea McDessie was president of them. But do you think this is going to mess with McDessie's head a little bit?
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I was surprised. I was like, there's a fighter that's a president of a clothing company? I mean, the only person I knew of before was Tito. And I guess, and also Double Chin from Sacramento. What's his name? The California Kid.
Uriah
he was
Faber.
Torque. Yeah, Uriah Faber. He was the Torque guy. Yeah, I mean, when I read that was surprising. I mean, there's... it's just surprising to me that a fellow fighter, would kind of cheat out his fellow people that he shares the cage with, or is back there. He's just asking for trouble, and I mean, that could definitely play a role here. Again, though, I mean, Firas, he has a way of focusing fighters and making them understand what's ahead of them, and not letting outside problems or anything really get to them. So I think that's going to be the key issue of how well he listens to his corner and how well he's focused. If he can stay focused and keep all of that out of his head, I'm pretty sure he'll be able to do well. But it just depends on how much that weighs on his conscience. Not much, probably, seeing as how what's his name? He was saying he hasn't been paid for like over a year or something, right? Like,
yeah.
It's been over a year. Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't seem like it bothers him at all. So I don't think it's gonna really affect him at this point.
He just sitting back like, I don't care. Yeah, but no, you're right. For us, Javi, he does have that ability. Oh, and apparently, according to Andrew Reid saying, apparently Bisping is also owed money by them, which it kind of surprises me because I've been seeing him wear their shirts everywhere. So maybe he should stop that shit. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe he'll run into him in the back. Then that'll be problems, right?
Oh, that'll be fun. I hope to get some of that video for the next UFC Embedded or whatever the daily vlog or whatever that Dana White does.
I know. One of those things.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on here to the next fight. Speaking of Michael Bisping, number 10 Michael Bisping against number 11 CB Dollaway. As I was saying before, Michael Bisping has that ability, that cardio, that ability to put pressure on guys that ultimately breaks them. Now, he has seemed to slow down a little bit in his last two or three fights, and he's taken on a younger cat in CB Dollaway, who is a wrestler at heart. That's what he does. What do you think on this fight, man?
I have here, I think Dollaway is going to take this fight. I think it's going to be one of those atypical Dollaway fights. Well, kind of atypical for both of them, like just a gritty, just hard-nosed, just grinding each other down to see who finally gives in. And I think Dollaway is going to be the one to take it. I kind of feel like Bisping has lost kind of a step here ever since that damage to his eye. It just seems like he's a little hesitant to really get in there and just really take the damage that he used to take. And from what I hear, that eye isn't 100%. I believe he's lost some vision in that eye. So, I mean, all that put together, I like Bisping. Bisping's always been one of those guys that I wanted to see fight for a title. But I think his time's kind of gone away, especially with that injury to the eye. I mean, that eye injury really changed his career at this point. So I really believe that Dollaway, he's just going to grind him out. I mean, what Dollaway has done recently in stringing together his wins, he's just shown to me that he's improving. Slowly, he's improving on his way up.
Yeah, and maybe I'm kind of old school on this one because I'm picking the count on this one, man. I'm a big Michael Bisping fan, so I just like that he packages it all together. I'm a big fan of guys that have cardio. Now I do agree, the eye injury, ever since he got messed up on that eye, man, he's been different. And even in that Kung Lee fight, although that was a great performance by Michael, it still was it wasn't like old school Michael Bisping in my opinion. It was just kind of like Kung Lee was just a step lower than he was. As far as the fight against Rockhold's just a motherfucker, man. What are you gonna do? But
running into that guy is no joke at this point.
Oh yeah, nobody's laughing about Rockhold anymore. Even the guys still making the Tiger Balls jokes, they can't laugh that much. But yeah, as far as picks go, okay, so you took Dollaway, I took Michael Bisping. Nick Pilecki picks Michael Bisping as well, as does Don Mano. So now we're the other way 3-1. The picks are getting fun.
Like I said, I mean, it's really, like you said, I mean, it's all about Bisping's cardio. If he can keep up the pace that he puts on people without really taking serious damage from Dollaway, I mean, that's the problem that I have here picking Bisping is he's not really, he's absorbing way more damage than he used to, and he doesn't seem to recover as good as he used to. I mean, before that dude, you would hit him, he would just be in wars, and he would look fine afterwards. But, that Kung Lee fight really, like you said, it just really showed something about, the way that he's kind of been progressing ever since his eye injury. So it's, I don't know, man. It'll be a good fight, I think. But, yeah, I'm still pretty hopeful that Dollaway is going to take this one.
All right, let's move on here to the co-main event. This one's weird for the fact that it was supposed to be a guy named Steve, I mean, it was Bousey or some a former hockey player was supposed to be taking this fight because Rampage Jackson had a Bellator won an injunction against Rampage Jackson to stop him from fighting. Rampage Jackson appealing, winning the appeal, and getting back on this card at a catch weight of, I believe, 210 or 215. Do you remember?
215.
215, right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we got Rampage Jackson back in the cage against Fabio Maldonado, who's ranked number 12. I was saying before in the preview, earlier in the show, that Fabio Maldonado is a boxer, right? He's a striker at heart, not a big jiu-jitsu guy, although he does train jiu-jitsu a lot. I think he has a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. But Rampage Jackson, who used to be known as mostly a wrestler, he's kind of just a brawler at this point in his career. You don't see him being too technical on anything anymore. He just kind of swings for the fences and hopes he catches you on the chin and puts you to sleep. What are you thinking on this fight?
Unfortunately, I think Rampage is going to win this. I don't see him landing the big shot because it's been so long since I've seen Rampage land the big shot because everybody knows what he does. And they just kind of steer away. And I think Maldonado has enough boxing ability to keep away from those power punches. But I just think that it's going to be that night, that type of night for Maldonado where he just ends up taking way too much damage. He's the type of guy that he just likes to just put his nose in your face and just kind of goes for it. And this is not the type of fight that's going to be good for him. I think he's just pretty much going to get picked apart by Rampage, eat too many shots, and probably just stand there and just get beaten pretty much. I still have really, really little faith in Rampage. It just seemed like he's uninterested in fighting at this point. I mean, the whole injunction thing and, jumping from Bellator to UFC. I don't know. It just never seemed like Rampage is going to be happy wherever he is. He just wants to be Rampage and just kind of get paid. And fighting just kind of seems like a second idea to him. So I think I want to see Rampage do well. And I think he will against this kind of atypical person that is perfect for his style of fighting that he likes to do now, is just stand up and trade. And, I would hope that Maldonado will come into this fight and be smart and just try to go for a takedown or two, kind of just threaten the takedown and throw Rampage off, but I don't see that happening. I don't think Maldonado has takedowns ever in his idea, like, going into a fight. I mean, he just kind of might fall into one, but I don't think he ever tries to go for one intentionally. So, yeah, I think it's just going to be a bad day for Maldonado.
Yeah, here's the thing about Maldonado is the fact that when he took, for example, I think he took that last minute fight against, I think, Stipe, and then got destroyed to everything. Like, that kind of showed to me because he didn't even try to do anything there as far as take a takedown. And so I'm like, okay, so clearly his game plan is going to be come in and throw bones and see what happens. Rampage Jackson, I think, is going to come in, and I think I'm more hopeful than using any kind of logic or common sense at this point on this pick, because I'm taking Rampage Jackson to land just a heavy overhand right and put Fabio to sleep. But that's mostly my hope. Now, I've been a Rampage fan forever. I kind of got really tired of him with all his talking. Just like you were saying, he seems kind of lazy. He just wants to get the money, doesn't want to do the work anymore. So, so I'm taking Rampage Jackson as well. I believe our two colleagues are taking Maldonado, and that's right. Domino's taking Maldonado, as is Nick Pilecki. In fact, I think they got the exact same picks, those two. Yeah, never mind.
Each other, huh?
Yeah, right. They got the exact same damn picks. All right. Okay, so I don't have to look at that shit no more. All right, so I agree with you. So we're both taking Rampage Jackson, and those two guys are taking Maldonado in this fight. Moving on to the main event of the night, which should, I don't know, to us, definitely be worthy of a headlining fight. To the casual fan, and especially in Canada, to them it's like it sounds boring, I guess, because if you remember, I believe it was UFC 174 in Toronto where they walked out during DJ's fight, which was the main event. And Canada hasn't been too kind to Demetrius Johnson in his career. So taking on Kyoji Origuchi, who's the number 7th ranked flyweight. In my opinion, Demetrius Johnson is just too good everywhere. His base is wrestling. He's a great wrestler, but that dude's just good everywhere. I've never seen him, okay, not never, but I haven't seen him very often be bad in any position. What are you thinking on this fight?
Well, I mean, how far back do you have to remember to think of a time where Demetrius was outgunned? And I think the seriously, the only time I can think of where he was just completely outmatched was when he fought Dominic Cruz and lost. With John Dotson, I mean, everybody's like, oh yeah, John Dotson, he hurt him and everything. Yeah, he hurt him, but then Demetrius just found a way to really implement his game and really put Dotson away,
Yeah.
And he's been good ever since then. So I mean, here it's Johnson all the way. I think he'll probably finish this fight. It's just he's got, like you said, he does everything well. He's fast, he's accurate, he's technical, he's got the stamina to go 5 rounds at the same pace as when he starts. And I just don't see Horiguchi here even coming close to being around after the 3rd or 4th round. I mean, he's got the power, and maybe if he puts the pressure, the smart pressure on Demetrius, he might be able to catch him somewhere. But I just don't see it happening. I see, Demetrius knows how to gauge his range really well. He knows how to be in and out, strikes. He just knows pretty well where he is at all times inside that cage. And he knows how to get away from anything that you're throwing at him pretty well and make you pay for any mistake you might make. So I just don't see... It's a hard sell to try and be like, oh yeah, well, Horiguchi can win this way or he can do this and that. I mean, the way he's dispatched all the contenders up to this point, I don't see anything Horiguchi brings to the table that I could be like, well, there is that. So, yeah. Tough night for Horiguchi here.
Yeah, I hear you. No, that's the thing about Demetrius Johnson. Like, I like that you said that he makes you pay for your mistakes. Horiguchi is known as a power puncher, but he's also known as a reckless guy. He's a guy that takes chances in order to maybe improve a position, maybe do something, right? Demetrius Johnson is not a maybe guy. Demetrius Johnson's a guy that's like, you do this, I'm gonna mess you up because you did it, And so, I like that point of view there. Now, the other thing I'm thinking about is Demetrius Johnson for sure has been hearing all the talk about this being a crappy card because he's a headliner. For sure, he's getting really, really, really tired of the talk. I mean, recently he's been trying to kind of notch up his trash talk, but he's not really trash talk. He's more like he's pissed off. So I'm thinking he's gonna come out, and unfortunately for Horiguchi, he's going to come out and just look like a monster and try to put this cat away as fast as possible in the most violent way possible. I don't even think it goes 3 rounds, man. I think Demetrius Johnson's going to try and dispatch this guy in the 1st or 2nd round and then, get on the microphone and say, do you like me, do you see me now or whatever, how you like me now, and then run out the cage like a freaking bad motherfucker. That's what I think he's going to do. That's what I'm hoping he's going to do. But I am taking Demetrius Johnson on this, just like, you were saying he is. If it wasn't for the fact that he's a 125er, you could say he's the best fighter on the planet, or you could say that there's just not enough talent at 125 to challenge him with guys, like John Dotson still trying to come up and get another shot at him, Ian McCall trying to come up and get another shot at him. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I take Demetrius Johnson, and I believe Nick Pilecki and Don Manos did as well. So we're gonna pop out here the screen share. So yeah, it's gonna be I don't know. I hope these kind of cards, man, when they're very, very doubted, you get usually 1 or 2 surprises that you'll talk about on Monday where you're like, holy shit, did you see what happened at the card? And most people are like, oh no, I didn't see it. I didn't care. It's a crappy card. But you missed out, motherfucker. You better go hit up Reddit or YouTube or something and find that video. But overall, what's up?
Oh, I was saying that's what happened with the Stockholm. Was it Stockholm, Sweden, the most recent card? Mm-hmm. I mean, out of that, we got to see not one, but maybe 3 or 4 fights that were really, really good on that card. I mean, and everybody was kind of downplaying that card because it's the first fight pass of the year, not really a big name. I mean, it's Crow Cop. He's old. He's past his prime. Nobody really on that card. And I mean, there's some really good fights on that card. So yeah, I mean. I hate to quote Dana White, but he always says, don't judge a card until it happens. But I mean, honestly, this is one of those cards where you can really say that. I mean, and that's really the only thing you can say about the card is just don't go into it thinking you already know what's going to happen. You just gotta see it and see what happens. I mean, it could definitely go really bad, or it could go really good. And I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Demetrius is the type of guy that he knows that his star power is at a level. And he wants to be at a higher level, like a Conor McGregor or something like that. And so that's the only way he's going to make those dollar bills. So yeah, I agree. I think he's going to want to make a statement here, definitely.
Yeah, and I don't know if you ever saw the videos, like the behind the scenes videos of UFC 177 when Renan Barão passed out and popped his head on the freaking bathtub and couldn't fight, and they brought Joe Soto in to fight TJ Dillashaw. Dana White came into the locker room and gave them like a speech, like just riling them up, trying to get them going, saying everyone's saying this is a effing whatever card, this is a crappy card, go out there and show them. And I mean the card did all right. I enjoyed that card a lot. So I'm assuming he's going to do the same thing here. He probably should. The Bell Center, like I said before, didn't sell many tickets, so they actually closed part of the Bell Center in Montreal. And it's I don't know. It's going to be one of those cards, just like you said, can't judge it till you see it. So overall, if you had to pick a couple surprises, even if they go against your picks, what would you say could possibly happen tonight?
I think Maldonado upsetting Jackson would be one amazing turn of events there. And I think, I think earlier on the card, the Alexis Davis and Sarah Kaufman fight. Mm-hmm. I think that one should have been on the pay-per-view card. I think that one is one of those fights that is probably gonna really be exciting. Mm-hmm. And I think that's I'm pretty excited for that fight actually. That fight seems to me like you got one person already down 0-2, and she's gonna want to come in and really show something after getting destroyed 16 seconds by Ronda Rousey, mm-hmm. getting destroyed twice by her opponent. I mean, I think Alexis Davis is gonna come in and really want to do something special here.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the fights I was thinking too in my head that it could be. I'm thinking we see Alexis Davis come out and just like you said, redeem herself for that 16-second knockout loss to Ronda. Given that Ronda is a once ever talent and will probably destroy every girl in the 135 until we finally see her fight Cyborg, should that ever happen. But I like that fight, and I like the Randa Marcos Daly fight. Not because I think Daly can beat Ronda Marcos, because I'm sorry. I love Aslan Daly. I love most fighters, but I don't think she has anything for Marcos. I think this is gonna be Marcos' chance to show that she is legit, and I think she's gonna come out and do it in her home or adopted home country, and I think we're gonna see another kind of a developing contender for that belt there.
Yeah, I mean, I actually picked Daly there, but I really hope that Marcos surprises me. I mean, what she did on the Tough finale show, she really showed that she's tough. She can get into positions and really work her way out, not really get caught in anything, and she just showed that she made a big fan out of me that night because she didn't quit. It was easy for her to quit a couple times after she was getting beat up, but she came back. I think she won a round in that fight. And yeah, I mean, Daly, she's to me, she's just got the better abilities, and that's the only reason why I picked her. But I could see Marcos really coming in here and catching Daly slipping here and really putting a hurting on her. So, I mean, she trains with some high level people. Randa does, and so I really hope to see her really shine here because, I mean, I really am waiting to see some really top contenders in that division.
Yeah. All right, man. So that's gonna do it for UFC 186 preview. Anything else you want to add here?
Nah, man. Just go to your local bar and go watch it, man.
Yeah.
Or if you're gonna buy it,
Yeah. Don't go watch it somewhere else. Don't spend your own money by yourself. If possible, get like 10 people so you can all drop like a little, like $3, $4, $5, and then get money for beer and get some tacos or something, pizza, whatever you want to get.
Nah, man. You gotta save those people for next week. You gotta save all those people for when you're buying that $100 Mayweather card.
You know what, man? I have a hard time thinking about buying that one. I'm gonna go to my friend's house to watch it anyway, but because he already paid for it and all that, he's already said, I'll buy it. I don't care. Just come over, bring beer. Like, all right. But wow. All right. Anyway,
I know where I'm gonna be then.
Yeah, right. All right. UFC prelims, Fight Pass prelims about to start in about 2 minutes. So go ahead and hop over to your Fight Pass account here to catch it. I will be doing play-by-play of the pay-per-view for those that aren't watching it, which what I heard is a lot. So make sure you follow me at Elaw31 for that. Follow Jesse over at what's your Twitter handle?
Splat 1983.
Right. It's SPW18 1983, right? Okay, I gotta ask you because they ask us all the time. What the fuck does that mean?
It's a funny story. My buddy used to always call me Twist, Twister, Twist. And then I guess when I was working with him a lot, I used to smile a lot. Apparently, I don't know. I guess I was happier. And so one day they just started calling me Smiley Pie with a twist,
Ah, okay. There we go.
and that's where that came out.
So, all right, now it makes sense. All right, there's a story, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have been tweeting and asking us what the fuck does that mean? Because we throw your Twitter handle out there every show, and it's just like, what the hell? Like they don't know. You
Yeah,
can follow.
it's one of those things.
Yeah, you can follow the page over at Crossroads MMA. You can follow Nick Pilecki at Nick X Micro. Don Manos is at CBMMA_Don, and of course John Galloway at MMA John G. All right, well thanks for joining us for your show. Thanks for joining me, Jesse, and we'll check you guys out later.